What is going on, everyone? My name's Boit and I'm back with some more Age of Empires 4 action. So today we're going to be looking at the only build you need to know for China. I've been playing China all day and have come up with a concoction of things that I think work really well for China. And I'll go through my thought process as to why they're good. Give you a couple of things to watch out for when you do these builds or this build. And yeah, so we'll jump right into the game. China is incredibly strong because the villages build faster, and that's actually going to become very relevant very quickly with this strategy. And the idea of this strategy is we want to get an economic lead and move on from there. So we can go for that. There is an option to do this build but venture off it at the midway point into something else. You don't have to go for a fast second town center. If you feel like it's not going to work against your opponent, you can definitely go into something else. So we'll start first here. Start building villages. Get your villages onto the sheep here, and then immediately we send our scout searching, and our first villager that pops out is going to come over onto gold. So the big difference between Age of Empires 4 and Age of Mythology, Age of Empires 2, Age of Empires 3, all the games, is that that the town center does not idle when you advance to the second age. So as that's the case, there is no point in there's no point in delaying your second age. Unless you can get more villagers out. So that's the only thing. So if you have consistent villager production and you can advance, that is the goal for pretty much every single civilization as far as I'm concerned. Now, this is pretty much day one of the beta, so we'll see what actually comes to fruition with it. But that's kind of it. So we got 2 villagers on gold. The rest are going to come to food. And I need to drop these goats off. You definitely need to have a couple of goats in here. 8 villagers per goat for those of you playing at home. Otherwise, they will be a little bit funny on the goat. So we'll just send these back. As soon as these villagers drop their resources to 200, so as soon as we get 200 gold, I'm going to take those villagers off of the mining camp and put them over onto wood. And that way, that's going to be able to set us up to do the cheeky shenanigans in the next age that we're going to need to do. And there's no point in moving him back over onto food because we're going to have the 400 food already, so it's fine to just send them there. So things we're looking for when we go on for a 2-town center is, where is our hunt? Because this is going to be the important part to defend ourselves, and these villages will finish off just very shortly. There's the 10, and we move over here and we build ourselves the camp here. One more villager and we'll be able to advance. And we just have to shift our villagers around. So the Chinese Civ does come with its own special landmark, which is a defensive landmark, the Barbican of the Sun. So I'm going to throw that down on my wood line, as close to my wood line as I possibly can, and go from there. Now, when we're advancing, we're going to take every villager off except for 4. 4 villagers remaining on the food situation, and then we're going to start sending villagers over to gold. Now, this is specifically for the fast 2-town center. If you're not going for a fast 2-town center, you want to leave more villagers on food, and you want to get about 5 villagers on wood so that you can afford yourself a stable, archery range, or a military academy, depending on what you want to go for, in as soon as you hit the second age, so you can start working your way there. So now we throw up our mining camp here, and we keep building villages onto this location over here. So this will go up, and these 2 villagers that are building this also come over to stone, and that'll be good. And we want to build a house with one of these villagers here. So this should give you roughly 300 stone at the same time you get 400 wood. Is what we need for the second town center. And as far as I'm concerned, there isn't a build that can exactly punish this straight away. There's some builds which revolve around pushing timing pushes with the battering ram, which are really, really strong. But if you scout them out and you pick the right units to counter your opponent, you're going to be in a fine position to hold those pushes, in my opinion. You just have to make sure you are scouting and seeing what buildings they're going. So now we're going to go ahead and send this scout forward. And we're going to go see our opponent's base here and see what's going to happen there. You can see how these 4 villages are enough to kind of keep this villager production happening. I'm just going to force drop that villager so that I have a nicer amount of food in the bank for my OCD. We missed this ago, but whatever. Okay, so we're going to go scout with this. So if we go over to our opponent's base and we want to check 2 things. 1 is the military buildings that they're making, and 2 is whether or not they're gathering gold. So if they're gathering gold, sorry, not gold, stone. If they're gathering stone, that means they're going for their own second town center, which means you can be even more greedy and do something like a fast... let me just drop all this in now, and we're just going to walk up here. And we're going to build this town center over here. We need to make sure we have enough, and then every villager now comes over to food. I think this will be right now. Yep, and we can build the town center right here on our hunt. Now, it's important to chuck it on your hunt because you're going to want to have this. The town center is pretty strong at defending pushes, but, you know, if he wants to come and raid these villages, it's going to be hard for him to get anything early. He's going to have to come in with a battering ram or a bunch of units to be able to take that down. So, again, scouting, important. So, if you see barracks, you got spearmen or men-at-arms coming, so you need to make either cavalry for the men-at-arms or maybe archers, I guess, for the spearmen. But you also need to be careful. So I would recommend throwing like something else down, like a barracks and a cavalry thing, like a stable and a barracks against spearmen or against a barracks. If it goes archery range, just go pure cavalry. And we'll just show you off cavalry builds here. I'm going to start chucking those down. And honestly, right now, all my villages are getting built here. I've afforded this town center. I mean, this stable, and everything's fine and dandy. We're looking to get about 20 villages on our food before we start thinking about something else. So actually, we're going to rebuild this. This is also super important to rebuild your lumber camps. It increases your wood gather rate by tons. All right, so we just check what's going on. So you can see he's getting the council hall. So if you're playing against Britons, council hall means archers. I've never seen anyone go the other one, so that's fine. So I can build another stable here, and we'll start building just a little bit later the cavalry. We don't have to worry about it too much. You can start building them if you're worried, but I like to get the second one up. Okay, so now that we have that sorted, we can have the 20 villagers on food, and we can get the second stable, and we can start making ourselves some horsemen. And we just basically spam these guys until we're happy. These villagers now coming on to gold. The next step in the process here is to get our upgrades going. So you can either go straight to the heroic age with no upgrades, not the heroic age, the castle age with no upgrades, or you can get armory upgrades if you feel like it's a hard classical fight or feudal age fight. If they're going for a mass army, you might want to get armory upgrades. So I'll demonstrate what the armory upgrades look like and get the units out when we can. So you see what is in his base, and you're looking for raids otherwise. But just having the units back, you've got 2 town centers. He's on 1 town center. You don't have to do anything. You just ahead by booming, essentially. Make sure your town centers have always got villagers pumping, and you'll be fine. Okay, so now we can afford the armory. Get that armory up, and we're going to start getting some upgrades into that. And you just see the units just pumping out here, and I mean, it's an AI, but this is kind of the dealio. Now, if you wanted to do a fast castle, you could totally do a fast castle with this build. You can do 2 town center fast castle, which is really, really strong. It completely owns an opponent's fast castle. The opponent's fast castles are not going to be fast enough to punish you. It takes too long to get those units out and attacking you. You'll be fine to defend fast castle shenanigans. So 2 town centers to defend all that kind of stuff. If so long as you are scouting and you work out what your opponent's doing and prepare for it. So now we've got the armory up. We go straight into bloomery. That is the my brain's blanking. Basically like your weapons upgrade. And we got all these units out. And we can start thinking about putting some pressure on. We can throw down another building here. So let's go for a third stable. And now we don't really need more villagers on wood. So we've got enough wood to start sustaining us. And we just keep on keeping on. Okay, so now we want to start thinking about... Well, we want to get the fitted upgrade first. But we want to think about getting this wheelbarrow technology. Super strong technology. One of the first ones you really want to get. And as soon as we get roughly 10 villagers on gold, need to stop putting villagers to gold. That seems to be roughly the moment where I'm like, man, I shouldn't have put that many villagers on gold. So this part of the build I'm like still trying to work out. So take it with a grain of salt. All of that wood that we're banking up now is going to be going into farms. So that's important to know. Because the hunt all finishes soon. Okay, so honestly, like, if you're playing against anyone who's not very competent, this will give you a huge advantage in the game. And we can get the fitted leatherworks as well to make your cavalry super strong. Make sure you're always building villages. And you can also start thinking about getting the Imperial Officer as well a little bit later. I always forget about this unit, but this one's really good. Gives you a little bit of a trickle of gold. And everything, you just have to kind of get everything going a little bit. This is not an easy game to macro. You have to really pay attention. We move in, we kill the villagers, and like, if they're not doing anything, they're not doing anything. You can kind of do whatever you want, you know. But this is always going to be a go against at least the low level. The low-level British people, so I can just run in here and kill these now. Okay, so the glow on the archers is an issue for you because they make sure units do less damage to them. So you got to be careful, but at this point we just keep on spamming units out. We've got to get the upgrades here as well, so you can get this one, get this, and we just keep on throwing onto food. Keep on getting that food economy going so that we can afford everything. Now, if you feel like you've got a massive advantage at this point, one thing you can do is you can just take a bunch of villages and then use those as siege. So I'll show you a siege push just to finish off someone who's kind of not playing very well. So just send all the villagers forward. And you can also get this technology here, which allows melee and ranged infantry can construct siege towers and battering rams. So that's really good. If you want to push in, you get out those and go for a rush with those. Now I think for the most part you probably want to go for like infantry more so than the cavalry, but against mass archers it's pretty much a no-brainer. Okay, so when you run out of food in your base, you can risk it and run over to the hunt that's over here, or you can start building those farms. And because I'm going for a kind of an attack with villages, I'm just going to go for the hunt over there and keep flooding units. And we push in, and we have tons of stuff. We need to wait for the villagers. Where are they? They're just making their way. So the villagers are, well, I'm not actually sure about this, but they were really good at taking down buildings. So we'll see if we can just push in and kill this now. Got so many units that we should be able to. Push in, kill this. Villagers onto this. Keep spamming. And you see how fast the town center goes down. So it's not like it's some obnoxiously strong building that saves you from your death, but it is pretty good to stop the early raids. So that's why you have to build units. You can't just like go for fast castles blind or anything like that. Now, if you kill both of the landmarks, you win the game. So you just go for really big pushes in and finish off your opponents fairly standardly. Or you just go next stage and start getting siege. If this would, these guys can kill this. Council Hall is a bit stronger. And that's kind of it. So the things to look out for in this build are the battering ram all in, some sort of cheesy fast castle shenanigans to put you behind, and essentially everything in this game, as far as I'm concerned, comes down to scouting. So if you can see what your opponent's doing, then you can counter it. Now that's basically it. So you just have to be active with your scout, checking out what your opponent's doing, and then say, okay, they're doing that, so I need to do this. And once you work out what all those things are, you're gonna have a lot of success playing this game. And yeah, that's kind of it. If you guys enjoyed this build and want to see some more, I'm going to be doing live streams all this weekend, so come and check it out. I am Boit on Twitch, and if you, I'm going to be moving through the civs, so I did China today, I'll do the next 2 tomorrow and the next day. Anyways, if you guys enjoyed this game, please like and comment and subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next game.